Silver and gold are in for a crazy, I mean crazy week ahead. We've got big news on Wednesday from the Federal Reserve and our old friend Jerome Powell. But on Friday, we'll get January's employment numbers. We're going to talk about that. We have a big expose that will be revealed during this live stream, and it has to do with the government and some data that they might just be feeding us later in the week. We also have a slew of company earnings coming out this week. That won't necessarily have a big direct impact on the silver price and gold price, but indirectly it will. The big news of the week will be the Fed. The big news of the week that nobody's talking about will be the employment numbers on Friday. But we've got a big expose that we're going to do, and it might just have something to do with that a little later in this video. So as I was prepping to come on today with you, my fellow basement dwellers, I read this article. You ever start reading an article? This was on Yahoo Finance, and it went on and on and on. Is this thing ever going to end? But then I'm feeling guilty because I'm I should really now read it till the very end. And it went on and on. I'm surprised I'm still not reading it and 5 minutes late for the live stream. But nonetheless, this whole article was about how great the economy is, how wonderful everything is right now in the U.S. He called it a Goldilocks economy. Isn't it Goldilocks? Isn't it wonderful for all of us, my fellow average Americans? Everything's great in the economy. Just going on and on about how, the employment numbers are good. The GDP numbers are good. Everything's good. And I wrote a comment at the end of this article. The guy said, you forgot to mention one thing, Buttercup. You forgot to mention the fact that the government's $34 trillion in debt. And, Buttercup, you forgot to mention, sorry I yelled, you forgot to mention, Mr. Buttercup, that the only way they were able to achieve this quote-unquote Goldilocks economy was by running a $2 trillion deficit. Gilligan's Island. Remember, you guys all remember Gilligan's Island. A $2 trillion deficit. Like a 3-hour tour, right? We're on the boat on going to Gilligan's Island. Who knows where we're going to wind up? A $2 trillion deficit to get this quote-unquote soft landing, Goldilocks economy. Everything is awesome. I think you forgot, buddy. You forgot to talk about that, okay? You forgot to talk about that interest payments alone are now accounting for almost, what do you think when you hear this? Interest, just the interest that we're paying as a country. You're paying it. I'm paying it. Every tax dollar that you send in to the Internal Revenue Service, 20% of each of those dollars is going just to pay interest. Money that's already been spent on gosh knows what, right? On paycheck protection programs during the C-19 crisis, on the endless number of wars. He forgot to mention that. And have you thought about that? Every time you write a check to the Internal Revenue Service, 20% of that is going to interest alone. If you look at the U.S. debt clock and the amount of interest, it's crazy on an annual basis how much you are paying on interest on money that your government irresponsibly, and yes, I'll say it, okay? I'll say what nobody else wants to say, that your government irresponsibly had spent in the past. This video is not about that, okay? But have you noticed, am I alone here in the basement? Have you noticed, are you starting to feel like the price of silver is defying reality? I mean, pretty soon they're just going to have a silver show on the Las Vegas Strip, right? Like the amazing silver price defies reality. Guys, there is no way that the silver price, and I know it's up this morning, right before I came on, I checked, right? Last I checked here, let's do a quick check. Let's do a quick check on spot silver. See where we are with spot silver. Not futures, spot. Okay, hey, all right. Guys, we're at over $23. It should be $46. It should be $38. It should be $48. It should be a lot higher than where it is right now, okay? We're dealing with inflation. You want something funny? It's Monday morning, all right? Our friend Craig sent us a funny joke that has to do with inflation because we know, hey, thank you, Leanne. Wow. Can the government request or take our silver and gold? Leanne, that's a great question and one that strikes fear in the heart of silver and gold stackers. The government in 1933 did confiscate everyone's gold, right? President Roosevelt did that during the end of the Great Depression. Why did he do it? He did it so he could take everybody's gold, and then he took it and paid people one price, and then immediately, once they had it, revalued it at a higher level, which was essentially the 1930s gold standard version of printing money. The government can do anything. Do I think it's likely that they'll come for your silver, come for your gold? No, I don't. Bald Guy Money brought up a fascinating point a few months back. I want to give him credit because he was where I learned this. I don't know if he thought it up in his bald brain or if he read it somewhere else, but nonetheless, that's where I learned it. This idea the government doesn't have to confiscate, not right now, not the way things are right now, not with the fiat central bank money printing situation. They don't have to confiscate your gold, Leanne, because if they want gold, think about it. All they got to do is print some money and they can buy gold. All right. Now, some people say, like with the COMEX and the LBMA, a silver and gold inventories being so low that like China could come over and in a minute buy up all the gold, all right? Or India also could buy up all the gold or silver, like very, very quickly. But what they're doing instead is they're slowly draining it. All the silver, all the gold is moving from the west to the east. Your question was about confiscation. Silver, do I think silver could be confiscated? I think if silver were to be confiscated, it would be done under the guise of that it's a critical metal, that we need it for the war effort, that we need it for the national, some type of national need, right? And that I think is actually, I don't think that will happen. But I think that the prospect of silver confiscation in terms of the odds of it happening are slightly above that of gold confiscation. But I'm not one of these people that says, oh, they're going to come take it. I think they're both relatively minimal chances that they would occur, but I would rate silver as being, ironically, a little more susceptible to some type of you need to turn in all your silver. It's your national duty and you're required by law. I mean, in the 1930s, guys, just so you know, when Roosevelt did this, when he had this executive decree, there were ads in the newspaper. If you didn't turn in your gold back then, you could pay a hefty fine. I think in current dollars, it was like $200,000 fine if you didn't pay or didn't turn in your gold, or you could actually be put in jail. So anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat. I hope that answered your super question. Okay. Oh, our friend Craig, you guys want a funny? I know you like to laugh. We all like to laugh. What the heck? We need to laugh. Guys, we're going to laugh in a second, but first, let's realize the fact that we've survived the last 2 years holding silver. Gold's been a little bit better, but we've survived holding silver, guys. We've survived holding gold, and we've survived holding, a lot of us, precious metal mining stocks. My hands up, right? It's been a very difficult environment. I hope you guys can still see me. I'm getting some fuzz here on my end. Hello? Hello? We got Susie's cat is down here somewhere. I couldn't get rid of him. Hold on one second. Make sure he's not messing with my plugs. Benny? Oh, he's upstairs? Okay. Susie just yelled, Benny's upstairs. All right. The fact that you've survived the last 2 years, pat yourself on the back. Do that, okay? Act like that's your old buddy Ron here patting you on the back. You survived a very difficult period. A very difficult phase of your life. Could it get worse? Absolutely, right? We're likely heading into some challenging times geopolitically, economically, monetarily, fiscally. We know that. But you've survived the last 2 years, especially in particular, if you owned silver, and in particular, my hands up, if you own precious metal mining stocks, you have been beat, you've been kicked in the knees, body blow, body blow. Remember that boxing video game when we were kids? You'd pay a quarter and it was body blow. I mean, we've been hit, okay? You survived. So you need a little humor. So let's do a little inflation humor because you know silver always keeps up with inflation. We have a big expose later about what's going to happen later this week when our government gives us some really big data. And we're going to talk about Iran, okay? That's serious business. And the border, the army of God. Not a religious channel, but we are going to talk about, excuse me, the army of God. First, I'm going to have a sip of coffee and then get ready to laugh. All right, thanks to your friend Craig out on the West Coast. We're going to laugh, and we're going to laugh about inflation. That's... I guess we're a strange lot if we think jokes about inflation are funny. So I get this, and then I got somebody who's mad at me in the comment section, somebody furious, somebody who pointed out how wrong I am, and I'm going to share that with you because I tell you I'm wrong all the time. But let's get to the funny first. I get this email or text this morning, says, "Morning, Ron. I got a financial joke for you. Do you know the difference between beer nuts and deer nuts?" Inflation jokes. Oh, well. Beer nuts are $1.49. Beer nuts. You know, you get them at a bar, they're called beer nuts. Deer nuts are always under $1. Okay, enough of that. This week's economic calendar, crazy week. Get ready. We are in crazy week. It is going to be crazy. Let's just run through real quickly what we're going to get tomorrow. ADP, employment numbers. I'm sorry, that's Wednesday. The biggest news event of the week is the Fed decision on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, they say ISM Manufacturing Index comes out. That's a big deal. Friday will be the employment numbers from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They're going to tell us on February 2nd how many jobs were created in January, and that will have a big impact on the market, right? Because jobs, that affects how people perceive monetary policy will go. That will affect the silver and gold price, right? It could be whopper. I told you yesterday, Sunday, I said next Sunday we could be sitting here talking about gold at $19.30 per ounce, but we could be sitting here talking about gold at much, much higher. Hey, before I forget, please do us a quick favor. Give us a thumbs up. That helps get the word out to more and more basement dwellers. The more, the merrier. The more people that come into the silver and gold community. Number one, you're helping people. Number two, it helps the price of silver and gold. It creates more demand, right? And we know right now demand for silver and gold, well, silver, gold, the central banks are buying it all. Silver, from an investor perspective, from a retail investor perspective, is down a little bit. I'm hearing different reports. Silver, from a wholesale perspective, I'm hearing much different reports, and that there's a big demand for silver on a wholesale level, and we always make that mistake. And then I'm going to get back to the calendar and the big expose. Don't you worry, okay? But we make that mistake. We say, oh, well, retail premiums. Yeah, you can go online. As a matter of fact, this is a great opportunity to tell you about our sponsor, Pimbex, who checks all the boxes. Best prices, best selection, best service. You can trust them. You need to find that out for yourself. Okay? Don't listen to me, but listen to me in regards to doing yourself a favor next time you're looking to buy precious metals. Throw them into the mix. I think you're going to find what I found, that they do have the best prices, best selection, best service, right? And you'll get more metal for your money. They can also do that if you're ever considering moving an IRA into precious metals, maybe part of an IRA, whatever the case may be. Throw them into the mix because you'll discover what I discovered. before they sponsored the channel. I only work with companies that I own, believe in, work with, whatever. Pimbex is best. Pimbex. Pimbex.com. Pimbex. Okay. All right. Now, thank you, Pimbex. All seriousness. In all seriousness, I get more and more emails from you guys all the time. Now, it's getting to be like 2 or 3 or 4 a week emails from people saying, hey, I want you to know I bought some silver, I bought some gold, I bought whatever from Pimbex, and you were right. It is a great company to deal with. That's why I feel good and feel fortunate to have them as a sponsor. It's a mutually beneficial situation, okay? They're a great company. Where was I? Boy, I'm getting hit by all kinds of virtual ding-dongs. I didn't see what you just said to me. CoinShop Chris is telling me stuff I can't. Woof. Is there steam coming out of my ears yet? I don't know. Okay, let's talk about the expose. Let's talk. This needs to be talked about because this is the truth. Okay, number one, we're gonna get non-farm payroll numbers on Friday, jobs numbers, right? And they make a big deal. They make a huge deal. Have you noticed that? Every month, a huge deal. I missed a super chat. Oh, I did. Hold on. Metal Seer. In Janet Yellen's dictionary, soft landing means a mild recession, a painless academic term to her, but lost jobs for many tech workers already. Yes, absolutely, right? These people in Washington, they're living cushy lifestyles. They have no idea the real pain that you out there might be feeling, your neighbors out there might be feeling. It's not easy, okay? It is not easy to be an average middle-class American right now. I have a friend the other day, I saw he posted onto the Facebook. I'm personally not much of a big fan of Facebook anymore, but anyway, they live in Florida. And he was like, our homeowner's insurance went from like $6,000 a year to like $15,000 a year. I'm like, what? That seems high to me to begin with. I guess the Florida real estate's gone crazy. They're like, we're moving to Arizona. I'm like, I don't blame you, but you better check what the, homeowners prices are out there. Okay, expose. Friday, we're going to get a jobs number. And guess what? It's an election year. And miraculously, there's going to be all this great news about jobs and how the unemployment rate is doing great and how wonderful Bidenomics is working. Here's what's going to happen, though, at the same time. They're going to tell us those great numbers, and then they're going to revise the previous 2 months. So they're going to give us January numbers on Friday morning. Say, oh, these jobs, wonderful jobs, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to say, oh, but by the way, we miscalculated the last previous, because they always revise the last 2 months. We miscalculated the last 2 months. Unfortunately, we didn't create as many jobs. We need to revise those. We're going to revise December down by 24,000 and November by 43,000. We were wrong. We made a mistake. Oh, here, think about this. I want you to think about this. Big number, big market moving number, big psychological, right? Part of the possible PSYOP program that our government runs on us. I'm not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist or anything, but possibly they might, put out some good news to get everybody feeling so great and, let's go vote. But here's my question. Okay. Number one, expose being they're going to put out BS numbers and they're going to revise the previous 2 months. But have you asked yourself this question? This is the government we're talking about. On February 2nd, this Friday, they're going to put out jobs numbers for the previous month. You mean to tell me that our government, would they work over the weekend or something? That they're able to figure out within 2 days of the end of the month, 2 days, how many jobs were created in the economy in the previous month? No. No wonder they have to revise the numbers every month. But at the same time, give me a break, man, because every month you revise the numbers and you revise them down. Okay, enough on that. But it is very, very, very frustrating. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget, please give us a thumbs up. We're almost to 100, and I will ring the bell. Okay, so bell warning. I know it's a weekday, so a lot of times they play this over the intercom system at some of the big Wall Street banks. I just want to warn you guys, I'm going to ring the bell. When you hear the bell, it doesn't mean it's time to change class or anything like that. Okay? The other big news this week, and we've covered this a lot already, is the Fed on Wednesday. The Fed has already pivoted, okay? That's a fact. The Fed pivoted back in December. The Fed hasn't, I read this morning, it didn't seem like it's been that long, hasn't raised rates since the summertime. So we're going to talk about the big, massive news from the Fed. 1 week from today, what do you think? Will we be sitting with gold closer to 2,100, or will we be sitting with the gold price closer to 1,900? Will we be sitting with silver $25, or will we be sitting with silver possibly flirting with the $20 or $21 range? That's how big this announcement will be on Wednesday. Now, I think there's something that nobody's talking about, nobody's thinking about when it comes to this. We'll talk about that briefly because it's a developing theory. It's an exclusive to Ron's Basement. Yes, you basement dwellers get it exclusively. But first, another Ron's Basement exclusive. Remember, everybody at Goldman Sachs that's listening right now, this does not mean it's lunchtime, okay? Whew, my ears are ringing. I've had one of those dull headaches for like the last 48 hours. You know what I'm talking about? You know, like when you just like a little bit of a headache and then that bell, woof, maybe that'll cure it. Okay. So Wednesday, we hear from our friend Jerome Powell that will move the gold and silver market. No doubt about it. Their decision on interest rates. Okay. We know a couple things. We know that in December, they basically told us, right, that they were changing their monetary policy. And everybody said, why? That's weird. You know, like they must know something that we don't know, right? There must be problems possibly in the economy that we're not aware of, because now they're indicating that they're going to lower rates into 2024. Here's the big kicker. And I don't know why anyone else is not talking about this, but we also heard last week, right? 1 week before their next interest rate announcement. 1 full week. Is this going to be a gold and silver black swan, but a black swan in a good way? Okay. Because we heard 1 week ago that the Fed, which shocked everyone, it's shocking news, is going to end the BTFP program, the bailout program they put in place during the banking crisis of March and April of last year, where we had like 3 of the 4 biggest banks in the history of the planet, or 2 of the 3 biggest. I don't know. We had big banks that went belly up. We had banks that when you aggregate them together, it was more value of banking that went bust than during like the worst year of the financial crisis. So it was a big deal. And they put this bailout. And now, right as we're moving into a period where interest rates are still high right now, right? And we have a tsunami of commercial real estate foreclosures, defaults, whatever you want to call it, heading at the banking system, the Fed is saying, we're going to take away your relief program. Okay. Interest rates are still high. Their bond portfolios are still, I think, and I'm not saying I think this is, well, let me phrase this properly. Number one, don't make any financial decisions based on what I'm saying. I am saying, though, that I think there is a better chance of a big dovish shift from the Fed on Wednesday than most people are anticipating. Because the Fed wouldn't be ending their relief program if they didn't know that there's relief coming from the banks. And that new relief will be in the form of much lower interest rates. Okay? So I'm putting the pieces together and I'm developed that thesis of that makes sense in terms of what we can expect. If I'm right it will be hugely supportive, hugely, I won't say rocket fuel, but a very good thing for the precious metals prices, because as rates come down, the dollar will come down and the price of gold and silver will come up on a short-term basis. And I'm going to cover that in the next one, because I got not a piece of hate mail, but a comment that a guy brought up some very good points. But on a short-term basis, right, on a long-term basis, gold and silver always keep up with inflation. We know that. Now, the other piece of evidence that we have that indicates that this theory that I have, that the bank's taking away the Bank Term Funding Program, the BTFP, because they know other form of relief is coming, aka lower interest rates, is that Nick Timiraos. Do you know who Nick Timiraos is? They call him Nicky Leaks, like a play on WikiLeaks. He's a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Yes, that Wall Street Journal. And he's the Fed's mouthpiece. That's the other thing they call him. They call him Nicky Leaks and the Fed mouthpiece. And the theory here is, hold on one second. The theory here is that when the Fed wants to communicate something to the market, and they want to do it in kind of a covert way, that they do it through this Nick Timiraos, who's a writer for the Wall Street Journal, Nicky Leaks, the Fed's mouthpiece, whatever. Apparently, he put out a piece recently where he talked about the fact that that was very dovish slanted, that indicated that we should expect more dovish behavior from the Fed. And it kind of makes sense in the big picture, because geopolitically, what's going on in the world, that could necessitate, right? War, geopolitical turmoil will necessitate easier quantitative easing, money printing, unicorn fart dust, whatever you want to call it, right? It's all unicorn fart dust, paper money. I mean, are we remembering? Our money is nothing but paper or linen. I get that one every once in a while, whatever. We call it paper, it's linen, it's nothing, it's burnable, it's nothingness, right? All these things going on, the monetary fiscal situation in the United States, geopolitical stuff, right? War, BRICS, is that enough for you, right? Are going to necessitate economic problems in the United States, are going to necessitate more. The only way that the fiat money system survives is by more money printing, more QE, more debt, until it eventually people wake up that, oh, this is all a bunch of make-believe fantasy world valuation, right? It's not, there's nothing there, right? And then if history were any indicator, they go back to things like silver and gold. I'm not predicting that that's going to happen. Who knows, right? I don't want you to, I don't want to be, I don't think this is going to happen tomorrow or the next week. Do I think it's going to happen eventually? Absolutely. 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 It will happen at some point in the future. Will it happen this week, this year? Some people are saying this year. I have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked that it felt like, to me, in all honesty, that we were heading towards bad times 10 years ago. The situation has definitely escalated, okay? It's definitely become more of an urgent situation. Lynette Zhang, when I talked with her a couple months back, she said, there's a reason why you feel crazy. There's a reason why a lot of people feel crazy. That's because we are in the final phases of this situation, fiat money dream, whatever, nightmare, whatever you want to call it, that we're all living through. And right, usually before things get really crazy, people feel crazy, because things are getting crazy out there. I mean, you're not alone if when you look at all these factors that are going on, and, unless you just sit around and watch Netflix all day and CNN, it's easy to feel, crazy. All right. The other thing going on in March that people are talking about, but forget, is that this reverse repo slush fund, March-April timeframe is due to run out of money. Again, that was something that was that was put in place by the Fed, another kind of bailout type program that had to do with the health crisis that we had in 2020. It was a place where money was parked, a lot of the excess. They printed 40% of all dollars that are in circulation during that health crisis that we had back then. Some of that money had to go somewhere. It went into this reverse repo slush fund. It's been being drained, and people say that as it's being drained, that's where the money is coming from to buy all these treasuries that are either being issued or that are coming up to be refinanced, renewed. So that's coming to a head. There's a lot coming up here in the next 2 or 3 months. It could be a big nothing burger, okay? We don't know. But it certainly looks to be an interesting and tenuous situation that we're heading into. Okay. Hey, in all fairness here, geopolitical uncertainty and wars disrupt everything. Supply chains, everything becomes much more difficult between countries, okay? Plus, it gives governments an excuse to print. So we're going to talk about a tragedy that occurred over the weekend. 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in the Middle East, how things are escalating. We're going to talk about the army of God, right? Social unrest, I think you can call that here in the United States. I mean, let's call it what it is. First, though, I want to read you where I got kind of ripped in the comment section and recognized that what this guy had to say was had some merit to it. Okay. So his name is BG200. Here we go. He says, Ron, lower rates are bullish for silver. And he's quoting me. He says, the 10-year bond dropped a full point in the last 90 days or so. That's true. Silver in that time is down almost 10%. That's true. The 10-year dropped from over 4% to 1.75% from 2011 to 2021, and silver lost around 40% of its value in that time. And in 2010, the 10-year is basically flat from today, 14 years, and silver is flat. He says, try a new theory because that isn't true. Oh, FYI, the 10-year note was 14% in 1980, and silver was $40. The 10-year dropped by 66%, and silver is down 50%. Just because you say sayings over and over doesn't make it true. And I agree with them, doesn't make it true. I would argue, and I'm not saying that he did that, but you can cherry pick certain periods of time with almost any asset class and show a relationship or lack thereof between certain data points. But he brings up a good point. And I guess what I can say is, I won't say I stand corrected, but I will recognize that he brings up a very, very valid point. I think we need to consider as well, as we recognize that, a couple things. Number one, over a long period of time, I would argue with anyone that silver has held its value, okay? Hold on. All right, I don't want to see me melt down on camera. Over a long period of time, silver absolutely holds its value, and over an even longer period of time, let's say over hundreds of years, thousands of years, there's no argument to be made. When I talk about interest rates going down being good for silver, I'm looking at it in a very short-term time frame right now that we're dealing with. And I will argue the point that, yes, if the Fed were to come out on Wednesday and lower rates, that would be extremely good for the silver price. Now, look, we're all wrong about stuff all the time. As a great example, look at the oil price. If I came to you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and let's say I came to you 5 years ago and explained to you the war that's going on right now in the Middle East. If I came to you 6 months ago and explained to you that, hey, look, I'm from the future. I'm Future Ron. And in 6 months from now, we're going to have war in Israel in the Gaza. We're going to have the situation in the Red Sea. We're going to have a situation with Iran. And you would have said, wow, oil's going to be $200 a barrel, right? Well, where's oil right now? $75 a barrel. So sometimes these relationships do get skewed. Do I believe that silver's been manipulated down during some of those time periods? Absolutely, I do. Okay? I think that's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. There's been a concerted effort to manipulate the price of silver down. But absolutely, when you look at whatever those date were, 1980, I think it was, right, where we had that $50 silver was $40 to where we are now. I won't argue with your point. You're absolutely right. I will argue that on a short-term basis, as we look, let's say 6 months to a year, that interest rates will have an impact on the silver price. And I will also say that I do believe that silver has been manipulated downward. I mean, that's been proven over and over. So, but I appreciate the input from all you. Look, I'm often wrong, and you are entitled to your. I always tell you and everybody else, you joining me right now, that hey, listen to me, listen to other people, listen to yourself, right? Because nobody knows for sure how all these situations play out. I know in my heart that silver is valuable. I know that when I buy some silver, I look at it as multi-generational wealth. Okay, it's something that in my heart I hope that my grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren are able to hold as multi-generational wealth as well. Okay? I know that I have thousands of years of history that indicate to me that that's always been the case, that it's been generational wealth. I know that when I look at the situation right now, and even today, when I look at silver, when I look at gold, that I believe that it will continue to offer an opportunity to pass on generational wealth. I could be wrong, right? Maybe we're in a new era, just started in the last couple of years, where for some reason in the future, precious metals won't be valuable anymore, right? Maybe 100 years from now, will they be saying, can you believe those people thought silver and gold were valuable? Well, I don't necessarily think that will be the case, but you can't rule anything out. All right. Iran attacked the USA. So here's the hello, Metal Seer. Did I get another super chat? I think I did. Hold on here, guys. Bear with me. Hold on for 1 second. And where is it? Here it is. Pop out chat. All right. When you would rather buy another silver or gold coin rather than some new tech toy you don't really need, you have the heart of a stacker. Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't know about you, but how much did you pay for your cell phone? I buy my cell phones from Amazon. On Amazon Renewed, I pay about $200. I get a phone that's like brand new, and it's maybe a year or two behind the latest and greatest. And I can't tell any difference. Actually, I'm talking to you right now through one of those $200 Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus cell phones. Okay, when I look at that, and they work great, and they're wonderful, and they're awesome technology, and I'm always amazed by these phones, right? That's what I'm talking to you through right now, and this fancy microphone. Compare that. What would you rather do? Ask yourself. Okay, here. Would you rather have a new phone, right? A new phone, you can buy that new Apple 15 titanium right, for whatever, $1,200? Or would you rather have a phone that's 2 years old and basically does everything exactly the same that the new iPhone 15 Plus Pro Magnum Titanium blah, blah, blah does, and you save $1,000, and you can use that money to buy yourself some precious metal. Type it in the chat. Do you want the fancy new phone, or do you want the metal? I'm typing, putting my money where my mouth is. I want the metal, right? I got a feeling a lot of you are with me on that. Like, we're value oriented people. I'd rather have the value, both. Nothing against anybody that buys Apple phones. I bought them for my kids for Christmas. Okay. I'm not anti Bitcoin. I'm not anti Apple. I'm not anti any of that stuff, but I'll take the metal, Ethan Melton says he has an iPhone 15 and he would trade it for an ounce of gold right now. That would be a good trade, my friend. Okay, let's talk about the what's going on with Iran on the Today Show this morning. Right, headline on the Today Show, top story. We know that 3 U.S. service members were killed in, I think it was Jordan, unfortunately, on a drone attack. But the message that was being delivered on the Today Show this morning is that Iran attacked the USA. 3 people killed, 30 injured. Biden vows to respond. Iran denies responsibility. They basically said, hey, look, we can't control what all these people are doing out there. And we're saying, well, yeah, but you're supplying them with weapons, right? It's kind of like the Russians saying, well, yeah, you're supplying the Ukrainians with weapons, but that's a whole different subject. Then they had that, Kirby guy on. He said that the United States is reviewing our options, that he said that we are in new territory here. Okay, yeah. And then he said we are not looking to escalate. This is a delicate, precarious situation that we are in the Middle East. It is mind-blowing. I understand, right? To me, it's beyond kind of comprehension, everything that is occurring right now with Israel, in the Gaza Strip, in Syria, in Iraq. I don't understand. I wish somebody would just come out with the definitive truth about what's I thought we won the war in Iraq, but we don't rule Iraq anymore, but we have bases there. And what about Syria? We've got bases in Syria. All this, it's too much. And I don't, it's bizarre. And I know that our enemy now, right? We have a new enemy. That's Iran. Well, I guess they've been our enemy. I don't know, whatever. But it's being fed to us that now Iran is the problem. Then we get this New York Times, we talked about that last night, article saying that North Korea is planning some type of offensive action against South Korea, but it would be limited, whatever that means. I mean, and we're not even talking about what's going on in Ukraine anymore, where we're basically at war with Russia. I mean, and then we have China and Taiwan. I mean, what the heck is going on in the world right now? And they're not calling this a world conflict. It sure feels like it. Hello, old dirty bastard garage. Silver and gold are bust. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Guys, thank you for the super generosity this morning. It's much appreciated. And it makes the work and the fun of this all worthwhile. So thank you very much. I don't want to be do you ever find yourself wondering, why are we in the Middle East anyway? If we have enough oil in this country to supply ourselves, and if you look at a worldwide map and all the places the United States has military bases, it's why are we doing all this? Is it because we've become an imperialistic country? Look, I live here. I am patriotic. I love the United States Constitution. I love what guys like Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson had to say about our country. But what happened? Why are we in the Middle East? Is it to spread democracy and hope? Because my question then would be, why is what had been our biggest ally in the region, Saudi Arabia, why are they a monarchy? And why do they chop people's heads off? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, very unfortunate, very precarious. What does that have to do with silver and gold? That's what we are, basement dwellers. We love silver and gold. We love the protection it affords us, because this is what it has to do with silver and gold. Silver and gold have been the ultimate safe haven during periods of geopolitical turmoil for thousands of years. Have I said that like 6 times today? It always comes back to that. That's what it is. And now internally, here in the United States of America, we have our own version of social unrest. Yes, the army of God, and there's more social unrest going on in Europe. This came from Zero Hedge. It's a massive mess on many levels, not the least of which is humanitarian and political and social. That was my comment. Hold on one second. Thank you, Daniel, for the super chat. Yes, and he says, when all else fails, you take them to war. Yeah, when the economy fails, whenever, right? War. I remember I was in my mid-20s and I lived in this neighborhood, and there was this guy who was well-respected and wealthy. And we had boats, and we were on our boats, and we were talking, and he said, and there was one of these wars had just broke out, and he was like, oh, war's good for the economy. That's why they do it. It keeps the economy going when we go to war. And I'm like, I never thought about that before. Crazy. Now, let's talk about the army of God and the border crisis. Zero Hedge headline, Army of God convoy heads to the U.S. border while EU farmers block cities. In the U.S., a convoy of truckers calling themselves God's Army is preparing to embark on a journey from several locations across the lower 48 United States to the southern border as tensions soar between Texas and the Biden administration. So Texas wants to handle the border crisis one way. The federal government wants to handle the border crisis another way. Remember that, because we're going to talk about what that means regarding silver and gold here in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, briefly, we'll touch on this. Across the Atlantic, farmers are bearing down on Europe's capitals, from Bucharest to Warsaw to Brussels, venting frustrations about climate policies. These social instabilities are breaking out ahead of key European and U.S. elections this year. Okay? Let's talk about this border here in the United States, right? The army of God. Hey guys, please don't forget, we need a few more thumbs up so we can get to 200 and ring the cowbell. It's free to press the thumbs up and it feels good. And I'm going to thank you right now for taking a second to do that. So thank you. Take our borders back. Convoy members describe themselves. These are the people. They're gathering throughout the country and they're heading to Texas. Okay? They describe themselves as God's army. Their mission is to shed light on the dangers of keeping the southern border open. The organizers of the Take Our Border Back convoy are, quote, calling all active and retired law enforcement, military veterans, mama bears, whatever that is. I guess Susie's a mama bear. Here, let's ask her if she's a mama bear. Hey, Susie, are you a mama bear? Are you a mama bear? I don't think she liked that question, but she did say yes. Elected officials, business owners, ranchers, truckers, bikers, media, and law-abiding, in all cap, freedom-loving Americans to, quote, assemble in honor of our U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights at the southern border in protest against the federal government's, this is a protest against our federal government's inability to secure the border, according to the convoy's website. So we've got massive social protest. I won't call it unrest, right? It'd be interesting to see how this develops, but we've got a convoy of truckers, bikers, retired military, school teachers, Who knows? Are you going? I'm not. I can't. I've got twin 11-year-old daughters and another job I do at night. Somebody's got to protect the music school, right? But nonetheless, are you going? Do you want to go? I want to go. I think it'd be very interesting. And I do think that we need to secure our border. I love people and immigrants, but we can't be overrun. We can't let the country be overrun. If we're a country, we have borders. And there's a process by which people go through to come into the country. And I don't even know the numbers, but it's out unbelievable millions that have been let in over the last few years. I mean, we're having a hard enough time taking care of our own people here. Why the heck we can't let people and again, I love everybody, but there's a process. There's a process, right? Go through the process of coming here. That's my thought on it. Or either that or let's just, I don't know. No, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. Okay? All right, guys, it's going to be crazy week. It's already crazy. Hey, let's look at silver. Is it down yet already? Let me look. This morning I looked at gold, and gold was at one point up like $18, and then I looked again an hour later and it was down. Now it's up $10. 10? Yeah. Hey, all right, guys. We did it. We made the gold price go up. Let's take a look at silver. Silver price up 36 cents, 1.58%. Hey, maybe we should stay on longer, huh? Coin Shop Chris is yelling at me saying we need the cowbell. He's upset that we don't have 200 thumbs up. You don't want Coin Shop Chris being upset, okay? If you guys press the thumbs up button, it does help. Oh, thank you. Channel sponsor, Fortuna Silver Mines. I almost forgot to mention that. This broadcast is not possible without the generous support of our sponsors. Fortuna is a company that I've owned for years. I'm not offering financial advice, but when I look at the silver and gold mining industry, I think Fortuna sets themselves apart in terms of their ability to deliver on projects. They've built a number of great mines over the last almost 20 years. In the last 15 years alone, they've grown from producing the equivalent of 50,000 gold ounces per year to this year where they could approach up to 500,000 ounces. They have a fortress balance sheet. They have what I think one of the best management teams in the business. So if you're interested in learning more about Fortuna, again, I'm not giving financial advice. I will tell you it's a stock that I do own, but check them out for yourself at fortunasilver.com. I'm going to be talking to their CEO, Jorge Ganoza, tomorrow morning. All right, guys, we're almost there. We got 182. Let's get those few more thumbs up. Let's run out here real quick. Let's run out and see what is going on. You want to hear a funny story? Another funny story? This confuses me. This was from the Associated Press. Hold on one second. Hold on here. Where'd it go? Darn it. Okay. Well, I can tell you from memory. There was a puppy. This is a puppy story. So there was a story on the Associated Press. What is our country coming to? Some lady goes into a bank, okay? She comes out of a bank. Somebody holds her up and steals her purse. Steals her purse that she just happened to have $5,200 cash in, okay? This was in Michigan. The police apprehend the suspect a couple hours later, okay? They catch him, right? While they're patting him down, they find this cute little puppy in his pocket. This is a true story. This cute little baby pit bull puppy. Very cute puppy. And this whole story is about this. So the cops find this puppy. Then the story goes on to say how the animal control people are now working with this suspect because he got bailed out of jail and they're helping him get the puppy proper shots and inoculations and all that. And they're going to microchip the puppy so they can keep track of where it goes. Whoa, my question was this. Cute story, cute puppy. Why did a guy who held somebody up, I imagine at gunpoint, stole $5,200, why is that person out of jail? I mean, does that make sense? I think it's nice that the puppy's alive, the puppy is being taken care of, but my question is, why is this guy out of jail, right? If somebody were to follow you to the bank and see that you took out a bunch of cash and then held you up with a gun, would you feel safe that that same person is back out of jail a couple days later? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So it really wasn't a funny story. It was cute. The puppy was cute and everything, but it wasn't. I'm like, what is wrong with this country? I mean, is it really happening? Because you hear that like in, hold on one second. I mean, I know parts of St. Louis are really bad, okay? But you hear like San Francisco and Portland, these big companies like Target and Walgreens are closing their stores because people just walk in and take what they want and walk out. And there's like nothing that the stores can do about it. And the police don't even care. They're like, well, if it's under $500, it's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay. I mean, talk about social issues. I'm a little concerned about where this whole situation is heading. All right, guys. So we're going to have a big week, crazy week. Wednesday, right? It'd be about 48 hours from right now. We could get massive moves in the silver and gold price, right? Who knows? We don't know what to expect. I do think that the clues that we've been given from Nick Timiraos at the Wall Street Journal, okay, from the Fed themselves saying that they're going to end the bank term funding program. They wouldn't be ending that program if they didn't know that some other form of relief was coming. Otherwise, they're basically saying we're gonna blow up the banking system. And if that's what they want to do, well, you know what? We're really going to be happy that we have silver and gold because we know what happened last year during the March-April timeframe when the banking system did blow up. Now, most of the people that do what I do, that provide commentary on what's going on and are gold and silver focused, are focused on that this BTFP program going away will result in another banking crisis. I don't think so. I think they're doing it because they know relief is going to be coming in a different form, which will be more easy, accommodative monetary policy from the Fed. Maybe they know other stuff that's going to go on in the world. Maybe, who knows, okay? We're also going to get moved around on Friday, all right? If we survive Wednesday, you know how these weeks go, right? Okay, so we've seen this happen many times with silver and gold. The Fed will come out on Wednesday. It'll be good news for silver and gold, right? And then on Friday, they'll put out, and it's all manufactured Wizard of Oz type information. They'll put out some information that'll be bad for silver and gold. So it'll be like, oh my God, just when I thought things were getting better for the metals, they pull the rug out, right? They love to pull the rug out. So just be prepared, okay? And bear in mind this important fact for you, Mr. and Mrs. Silver and Gold Investor. And don't forget, right, June 14th is International Women's Silver Day, as designated by the board of directors of Ron's Basement, to show appreciation and camaraderie with all the new female stackers who are coming into the silver and gold world. But don't forget, girls and boys, right? No matter what's going on, right? That silver and gold will hold their value over time. I know, I've repeated that. I said it earlier, but it bears repeating. Silver and gold will do okay if the banking system blows up. Remember what happened? Remember what happened last year in March and April? You couldn't get your hands on silver and gold. Remember people like Andy Scheckman saying, oh, in the last month, I added more customers than we added in the last 2 years combined, right? When people get shaken up, there's enough of them out there that know what really holds value, and that is silver and gold. Now, we need 3 more thumbs up, and we're going to ring the cowbell. It says 200. So right now, if you've not pressed that button, please press it. Thank you, Metal Seer. I can't see I can't see it. Unicorn digital coin lovers like to say Bitcoin has fixed at 21 million, but more gold can be dug up. They have no idea how costly it is to find and extract. Yeah, I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I'm not a Bitcoin lover, right? I think one good thing about the crypto world is that it has educated a lot of people about the challenges and what's the word? That we should be skeptical of the fiat money system. No doubt about it. That has helped with the crypto world. You're exactly right. I think on an annual basis, the amount of gold that's added to the world supply, it's like somewhere around 1%, either a little bit less than 1% or a little bit more. We know with silver, because we're in a deficit every year, that the amount of silver is going down, 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 right? The silver that's mined, there's more being consumed than is being mined on an annual basis. So we could really throw that back in the crypto, in the Bitcoin, where I'm not here to debate Bitcoin or crypto or anything else, but they say Bitcoin's fixed. Well, we could say, well, silver's depleting. All right, guys, let's ring the bell. 200 thumbs up. Thank you. On behalf of Susie and myself and all the basement dwellers, thank you for joining us today. It is true, you are the most important part of Ron's basement. They forgot to call it RonTube. They called it YouTube for a reason. This does not happen without you. We much appreciate you, and we all look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.